For gamers who are looking for more Zelda and Binding of Isaac roguelikes, turn your eyes to A Wizard's Lizard by Lost Decade Games. In A Wizard's Lizard, gamers play as, you guessed it, a wizard's lizard as he struggles against the forces of death and rescues the town of Amber Fall's populace. At its core, it's a top-down twin-stick shooter that explores procedurally generated dungeons. Enemies grow ever stronger as you get further and further in the game. Within A Wizard's Lizard, there are two states of existence, similar to Dark Souls and Demon's Souls. While alive, the player's vision is handicapped by limited light sources, but there are fewer enemies on screen. Once dead, darkness no longer becomes an issue. However, as a spirit, you need to fight off both the living enemies and sometimes their lingering souls. Dying while in spirit form means it's game over, and most of the progress you've made is wiped clean. As a spirit, you can be resurrected by standing on summoning points for a short time. Summon points are rare and generally only exist once per dungeon. Certain pathways, armors, and weapons can only be obtained while standing in one state of being or another, making the life and undeath game mechanic pretty interesting. Players can heal themselves by finding food drops hidden in barrels or dropped by slain enemies, but food is quite rare and seems to become even more scarce the further you progress in the game. Cash drops in abundance and can be used to purchase new weapons, armor, special items, or blueprints. Blueprints allow you to purchase items from the town's central hub at the start of a new game. By saving more citizens from death's grip, you start each round with a little more money. By destroying specific enemy crystals in the dungeons, players can also unlock shortcuts to deeper dungeons from the central hub. The game starts at a pretty slow pace. Your weapons are weak and have a short range, normal enemies are in small numbers, and special enemies and bosses tend to be a bit bullet spongy. But A Wizard's Lizard definitely picks up as the enemies get a bit tougher. Your weapons get some range to them, and dying becomes a greater gamble. Compared to The Binding of Isaac, A Wizard's Lizard is a slower burn. It encourages multiple sit-downs to slowly chisel away more and more. On average, we found our playtime per life to be about 30 minutes. How quickly you finish the game depends completely on your skill. The game runs at a wonky mandatory 960 by 640 resolution, the same as the iPhone 4, which is odd considering the game is currently only available on PC, Mac, and Linux. Due to the sprite graphics, expanding the game's window to full screen will cause some loss in quality. The sprites themselves are very well done, but the option to select some more slightly normal screen resolutions would have been wonderful. We were super happy to see the game has native controller support and doesn't need anything like Joy to Key to function properly. Aside from that, the game could also use a brightness and contrast slider because it leans so heavily on darkness being a mechanic of the game. Different monitors are going to have a massively different effect on everyone's performance. Overall, the game is very stable. We didn't run into a single crash. The more we played, the more addicted we became. We hate to continually compare it to The Legend of Zelda and The Binding of Isaac, but its influences are apparent. The story isn't as deep as Zelda, and not as symbolic or thought-provoking as The Binding of Isaac, but the action is solid, and the music by Joshua Morse is also a high point. While not earth-shattering enough to bring in new fans for the genre, it's a good enough game for those who already are. Right now, the price feels just a tad high for us sitting at the $15 mark, and will probably hold it back from a few sales from people who are on the fence. If it were $5 cheaper, we'd gladly give this a worth buy.